I know we broke every rule in the book.
Because
we're already late. We're already late, and we did the countdown.
I'm digging the countdown.
What up, Dwayne? Good morning, my brother. What's up, Deborah? What up?
He ain't heard nothing. Our girl Deborah was first again.
Yes.
You see that picture? You see that picture of the babies in the background?
Yep, I see both of them.
Look up, Marlon. Say cheese.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Hey,
Thursday.
Good morning, brother.
What's up, Dave? We ain't seen Dave in a long time. How you doing, Dave? I thought Dave was mad at us. He hadn't been mad.
Hey, Terry.
What's up?
Today. Shout out, Lisa.
Lisa,
get it right.
I always
get it right. Get it right. Get it right, sir.
Accept my humble apologies.
Oh, no. Good morning, Mom in the building. Mom McCory.
What's going on?
Sorry.
Mama in the house.
Sam McCrory, what's going on?
What's up, Pastor? You know you've been raised a certain way where no matter how old you get, you can't never call those adults by their first name.
Just can't do it. It's always gonna be Mama.
And they ask you like, "Hey, you seen Gerald? Who? Mr. Washington. Oh, Mr. Washington. Oh, he's over." Gerald. I don't know Gerald. I don't know Gerald.
I know. How can I share my broadcast? Show? All
right, so you know what we do? We start that intro.
Let's do it. Share.
It's your opportunity to share and not miss out. All right, let's see if I can find it, Joker.
Right?
There we go. Nope, that's the outro. This is the intro.
Here we go. But don't be the meal. You know when you said that? Don't be the meal.
Experience is the best teacher, but truth is the Holy Spirit is the best teacher.
If you can find the straightest path to the queen that you're supposed to be with, I believe in, and she finds her straightest path to you, then I think it gets away from all those, the skeletons in the closet.
We aim for the wrong things.
Right.
We aim to make our children a good husband. We aim to make our children good wives or successful businessmen or whatever. Right. The aim is wrong.
Trending is not happening without curiosity. So what's driving curiosity? You understand? People that are successful, people that are effective in life are people with priorities.
All right.
I must be in Facebook jail or something. I can't share it.
You can't share either?
No.
Oh man. Hold on.
They know like you.
Dwayne, I'm in Dwayne's watch party, seeing if I can share there. I might be on Facebook jail too. There's something going on. What's going on? I didn't even know it. I didn't even share that.
We ain't did nothing.
I ain't did nothing.
We all
Great morning. So make sure you share, especially if you're on Facebook, because they must have put us in Facebook jail. So make sure you share, start a watch party, and tag somebody that can be a part of this conversation.
Crazy.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
Don't boost his head, Dave.
Music, it's not me alone. Music is by my brother Chris, Dr. Chris Burton, who's not with us today. Celebrating birthday. Also, this just to let you know, good morning, Sam in the building, my boo. So just to let you know, we are on YouTube as well. So I need everybody to go to YouTube and subscribe. All those YouTubers like stuff.
Yeah.
Put some comments down because we're actually live on YouTube. So
is it on Brothers of Legacy or is it
Brothers Legacy? Brothers Legacy. Oh yes.
I don't have that YouTube.
What you been? What? All right, we'll talk about that later. We have some administration issues going on right now, but today we're talking about protecting our women. So
atrocious.
Sam shared a video, well, more or less pictures and of women that were there were some protesters, and I can't remember the state, where they had a rally and women were being like a barrier around a lot of the protesters. So the discussion today, basically, is our presence not seen as much And if not so, why aren't we more present?
Who?
Men, in certain situations in our communities. And I know we visited this issue before and kind of discussed it, but just kind of want to delve a little deeper into it. Do you feel that way? I say that as well. Like, do you feel we are present? Like, even like the protesting, it seemed to me mixed. It's women and men. Of course, in a lot of our communities, I've talked about in our schools. And if we are not as present, what would it take for us to be more present? Do you feel like we need to have a more of a purpose? Will we just be on hand, on standby, or how do you guys see it? What will give us, because and we could admit as well, like even in some of our communities, more men being present and men that are men of integrity, men of honor, being present to keep our communities safe. And we talk about old school policing, where our communities take care of our communities and not need the police as much. And what will it take for that to happen? I know it's a lot of different parameters to this, but wherever you want to jump in.
Give me one layer at a time. You gave 5 layers on one question. But first question I think you asked was, are we protecting our women enough, which is the topic of this whole broadcast today. And I don't think that we do. I think that women are the most displaced people when it comes to being protected. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I've seen the pictures you put up, the report, the news article you put up yesterday was shocked. I was shocked by it. And I was like, I just can't believe they would do that. And we should be more protected of our women. How do we change that? Huh? It's in the Brothers of Legacy chat.
It's in the message. It's in the break room. It's in the break room.
That's a good one. It's on the break room. And so, but we have to do something because our women they can't. I mean, if you look at the pictures of the, did you post the video? Did you plug it into the overlays and stuff?
Of course I did not. Why would I do that?
But I mean, the pictures that we saw, the lady, the peaceful protester, and she getting hit with munitions that are not supposed to be shot at point blank. Right. I mean, we're just not protecting. Come on, why would we do that?
Right.
So I don't think, to answer the first question, no, I don't think that we protect our women enough. No.
Okay. What you feeling, Dwayne? You kind of.
It's one of those points when we talking protesting, it takes on a whole nother level.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't, when it comes to protesting, and I'm just gonna be myself or be authentic, I don't think there's enough unity, and I don't think there's enough solidarity to completely say yes.
Okay.
Because if we're talking about everyday life, then my answer would absolutely be no, we don't protect our women the way we should as a whole, not individuals. But when it comes to the protesting, I'm a firm believer that every single action that anybody takes in protest, that you have to be ready for the reaction of what could happen.
True.
And I think the only way outside of changing a bunch of police and federal agents' hearts right now to effectively protect our women,
hey Robin,
is to put ourselves in a position that you're ready to be jailed, you're ready to be shot, you're ready to be killed in order to protect the women. And the thing about it is, women have been at the forefront of everything in the Black community since probably the end of slavery. I mean, we were lucky enough to have agitators and leaders during the civil rights movement that that are the Martin Luther Kings, that are the Malcolm X's and the Stokely Carmichaels, and the Mega. We had a bunch of men during that time, but it was a centralized, even though it was a decentralized and you had 5 or 6 different organizations, it was still a centralized movement. I think for us to effectively answer that question, we have to have people who wholeheartedly accept what consequence may happen. And to be completely real, this day and time, it's gonna be risking your life and risking jail time. But hey, is it worth it? And I think that for a lot of men, that's a position right now that they're not ready to take on. It's either it's not that serious. There's a better way. There's a million and one excuses. But I think regardless, at the end, the answer is no. The short answer is no. We haven't done everything to protect our women, but there are a handful of people when they see it happen that they get to that point where they've accepted that they might get shot, that they might get tased, that they might get gassed, they might be in cuffs, but not overall.
Right.
All right. We get
I like BJ's question.
But wait, hold on. Before we go there,
Go ahead.
I want Pastor to kind of chime in if he had something, because he looked like he was stewing a little bit.
He's doing. Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yeah, dog, I don't want to move on until we get everybody.
you validate. There is no specific answer to such a broad question. I love how Wayne put it, because in a specific situation like protesting, you have to be prepared for the response, for the reaction.
Right.
And if you have not prepared for the reaction, one person's perspective or a single group's perspective could be that you weren't protected enough. But if you're out front, if you're putting yourself out there as the shield, shields get hit.
You're right.
So if you don't want to get hit, you shouldn't be a shield.
Right.
It's a different, because, and think about this, in a situation like that, when a lot of the injustices happen publicly, more people have phones in their hands and are recording than are fighting back.
Right.
Right. So, and that happens because in most cases, in a situation like that, you're outgunned and outmanned.
Right.
And when you're not outgunned and outmanned, then the question is, why aren't you fighting? Right. Well, historically speaking, if the cameras are on, they're going to come and find you. You know that there's going to be a delayed response or delayed reaction. They'll come knocking on your door.
Right.
Not everybody at the fight is in the fight.
Right. True. I agree with that.
So I think it's a broad question. Do we protect our women? I don't think there is enough done to cover or protect our women. And there are many other statistics that show that.
Right.
But have we improved? Absolutely. Do we have work to do? Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So let me ask this before we get into BJ's question and probably some others. Women been in front from the beginning. So with the protesting, well, I guess so in the protesting situation, you go out and you have a goal of protesting for whatever your reasoning, whatever injustice you're out there for. And you're basically in the fight. Some, like you said, some that are there are not all in the fight. They're kind of probably watchers, agitators, whatever their other reasonings are. So some that are there, would you feel, I guess you kind of, with the saying of the separation of protesting and the women standing up and being shields, the question sits when you see a picture like that, you start thinking, where are the men? Right. And like you said, I know kind of going into BJ's question where, some women say we don't need anybody's help. We're stepping out front and we're taking on a role. Do you feel like in this situation, was it them taking on a role or stepping up because no one was there to do the same?
I think it was just them taking on a role. I think there was just a group of people saying we want to be a part of change,
Right.
and they don't need permission.
Right.
That's not a group of people who asked for permission to go do what they did. That's a group of people who came together and said, "Let's go do our part."
Right.
And they coordinated internally, because I would challenge anyone to say as to whether or not they asked for protection, or if anybody volunteered and were declined the opportunity to cover them. Right. That conversation, at least from what I can tell, hasn't been had. Right. And when you talk about protecting our women, are you talking about Black women, or are you talking about women in general? Because the bruises that I saw were on white skin.
Right. So that is so. And for this conversation, we could say women in general. I know a lot of times, like basically historically, the tiers of help is generally there's the white women, and then Black women get even less. But just in the generalization, because of that picture, yes, we talk in general, protecting of our women. Of course, we're going to get into Black women, because all of us, are connected to Black women, from sisters to mothers, for the three of us, wives and things of that nature. And she said, I'm talking about Black women. Oh, women being up front.
That's the reason why I said it, because I'm like, we put 4 Black men on this panel. And if we're going to have this conversation, we can't have the conversation behind a picture of a bruised white woman.
Right.
True. I feel what you're saying. It just was kind of to drum up, but it just kind of brought up the reasoning, just to kind of start the conversation.
But and I don't want to send a message like I'm biased, because I don't want to misconstrue where we're going, because I believe that all women need to be protected. But I do understand that the whole impetus behind this conversation, I believe, is being driven by the impact of Black people.
And I think my comment might take Pastor where he wants to go. I'm looking at it, right? And we can't start at the protest. I know that's I know that's where the conversation that we're having is starting, but the reality is it goes back to the whole adage, ounce of sin is worth more than a pound of cure. That so we're looking at the response. And it's not, that's not the answer, and that's not where we start at, because I guarantee, I can't say I guarantee you, but I bet the odds are the vast majority of every Black woman we see on the front line of a protest is a single Black woman. I'm saying that under the auspice of, I'm pretty sure Terry's not going to let his wife be at the front line and he's not there. I'm pretty sure that Pastor McCrory is not going to have First Lady McCrory downtown Atlanta, front line of a protest, and he's in South Metro. I'm pretty sure the same can be said about Anthony and definitely about myself. I can't even see a world where my daughters are at a protest, because in my mind, I know everything that can happen. And before something happened to my babies or my baby, over my dead body. Right. So
I don't even like for my wife to pump gas.
Facts.
Yeah.
And the facts.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
So I think we have to literally go to where protecting starts, because I think individually, when we mature as men, or we've been through enough, I honestly believe that each and every one of us are in that protector mode. But I think in the formidable days, in the days when a lot of these women were ready for relationships and we wasn't ready for relationships, and for whatever reason we bounced and out of sight is out of mind, I think that's where that covering starts to erode, and I think that's where our problem starts, and I think that's where the protection issue starts. Because if we're protecting them from that age and from that time period, whatever they're going through, we're going to be there with them. So I think we got to tackle the issue of why we're not protecting them before they get to a protest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got to go back even further, right? You have to go back to being brought over on boats. You have to go back to being snatched away from the headship or lordship of your village, of your family. You know, you have to go back to, you know, when a man tries to step up and stand up for his family, he gets killed to send a message to the entire village. You know, those are the things you have to go back to. And what we've been trying to come back from is a system that's designed to push the head in the back, into the background, right? And everything in this environment, everything in our society has been designed to send that type of message. You know, we talked about this, I think, 6-7 months ago, I think. We talked about the social movement and all of that, and, you know, how the social worker would come to the house and daddy had to hide because if they saw a man leading his family, even though he worked hard for his family, it still didn't meet. And in order for people to get support from the system, from the social system, you couldn't have a man in the house. So mama was at the door handling all the business. Mama paid the bills. Mama was the face of the family. Daddy came home and gave his check to mama, and he hid his hat when the social worker showed up. Right. So that type of systemic development will poison the minds of boys growing up. Boys see mama leading. Girls see mama leading. So girls grow up thinking they have to take the lead. Boys grow up thinking, you know, I got to put something on it.
Right.
Right. And I'm saying from commercials to everything. So we're having to fight back from that. And I'm not trying to give anybody an excuse, but please, if you don't understand how difficult it is to change the mindset of people when everything is designed to push the head down. If you control the head, you control the body. Right. The Bible says that.
Right. I agree.
Fact. And fighting
so
says
we're
that.
fighting back from that. And so it's a much deeper issue. And we've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go.
Right. So oh, we got it.
We got sound effects.
He said, "I'll get my own. I will get my own."
It's on.
How do, that was good though.
Go ahead.
How do you, so from where we are, right? What do you feel like we have to do to kind of change that narrative? Like, what do we do to kind of change that perception inside our own community? You know, because it has to start with us before it can go on the outside of our community.
We're doing it. I mean, it's just getting the message out. You know, we have discovered statistically that Black men are more engaged than any other race.
Yes.
Right. When it comes to bringing their children, whether you're in the house or not in the house. Right. Statistically, we lead the charge globally. Right. So so we have to make sure that we understand they're trying to control the narrative. Right. The truth is not out. So we have to expose the truth. And I think platforms like this is what enable us to do that. You know, Black men have to come from behind the veil, come from behind the curtain and make their presence known. A lot of us are busy taking care of our families. So we're not out here broadcasting what we're doing. Right.
True. Let's see. Well, it's like what the Bible says, roles will be reversed, and that is kind of what happened. Okay. So how do we get more men engaged and active like this? How do you feel like what is the pull to, I mean, we're here, but what's the pull to get more men to kind of speak out in a sense where they are, you know, because you can see it more.
I personally believe it's happening.
Okay.
Listen, the cameras are not going to be on Black men handling their business. That's just the truth. The cameras are not going to shine on that. Right. It's funny. My wife came in the other day and she said, "Honey, you work so hard." She said, you have 5 children. You do everything to try to take care of your family, from your mother to your grandchildren. You do so much. I think it's important that you get up and do something for yourself. Because I see you work so hard. You're so focused. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, and she's like, I don't see you doing something for you.
For yourself. Right.
And I'm not, this is not I'm saying I'm not by myself in that. I bet you, I know that Samantha Walker will say the same thing about AD. I know Melissa Little will say the same thing about Terry.
Yeah.
Dwayne, listen,
Stacey.
you're on video. we can't even do a video without one of your babies showing up on video.
Oh yeah, they know.
Right. And the point I'm trying to make is our camera is on this, not their camera.
Right.
Right.
So the message is know that we're doing it, continue to improve on it, because they're never going to spotlight people like us handling our business.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Facts.
You got to be on video ratchet and talk.
The Bible says, do not your arms before men to be seen of them, for verily I say unto you, thou hast thy reward. I'm not being to be seen. I don't really care what they think. See, I can go in the other room and talk and look my family in the face.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And back to that comment about, being out front, man, I would not have my wife out there.
Right.
No way.
Right.
No way.
I just wouldn't. Movement is great. Slow movement is great. As long as we're, come on, Rollins, talk about it, brother.
Right.
As long as we're moving.
Forward is forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pace is relative.
Let's see. Well, all right. So do you feel like we can do more? Is there any area that you feel like we can do more as far as protecting our women, or just being more vigilant as we have been? Or just or do you feel like there's something that we're missing specifically?
Man-to-man accountability.
Yeah. There you go. I was going to say that.
When I was growing up, I didn't, my pops wasn't around, but my mom never had, she could handle her own. Katie B. Goodson, look, when you say the whole name, Katie B. Goodson was a monster if she had to be. But she could handle her own, but she still was a woman. So every now and then my uncles would come around. Right. And I'm bigger than my uncles now. I think I could whoop all of my uncles now, even if I was in my prime and they was in their prime. But back then, it was like looking up to a 6-foot giant.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was like a brick house, and I was scared of him.
Right.
And I think there's some elements that are faded. I think the purpose of this platform, the reason why, look, I tried to upload a video yesterday from my speech when I graduated the police academy. Wow. I tried to upload it. 10 hours go by. I was like, you know what? Cancel. Wow. It was a 5-minute video. Right. And Facebook was like, not today. Not today. But in the video, I start out clowning, singing. I was like, I believe the children are, and everybody's like, and I was like, I'm just joking. But in all honesty, I do believe the children are our future. And then I go into my spiel about community policing and about community awareness. Right. And I made a statement that was the reason why I joined the police force. I was like, children in America, especially in Black communities, they're looking for love. They're looking to be loved and to be accepted. Right. A lot of children don't have that because of their neighborhood, because they got a single parent home where one person's constantly working to try to make bills and to take care of the children. And I was like, it leaves police to enforce crime. I was like, but our job is to protect and serve. So I was like, we can protect these children from what could be their future and serve them while they're kids on this side of the law. Right. Or we can do nothing and react and be reactive to them on the business side of the law. I would much rather impact them when they're younger and they're still malleable, as opposed to, hey, we missed the opportunity. Now they with this gang, or now they're running dope for this person because there was nobody there to say, hey, you better than that. Hey, you can do this. Hey, I was where you were. And I think that's where we have to get back. I think we got to get back into the trenches, because it's easy. It's easy to sit back and point fingers. Oh, you see the dude in the bluff, all they do is sell dope anyway. They don't care about nothing. I promise you, the vast majority of them, they do. Nobody just cares enough about them to go into their environment and help change their narrative. Pastor, when you said that, you were on point. It's all about changing the narrative. The image that we see, the image that we behold, the image that we embrace, that becomes who we are.
Yes.
So if we want to make a change in how our young men across the board in a broader aspect see our women and see their sisters and their female cousins, then we absolutely have to go in and change the way they see life and change what they see they can be. We have to change that image.
Right.
And turn the radio off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Turn the radio off, because you're not going to be able to, if you stop listening to that madness, they'll stop playing it. A lot of it is calls girls out of their names and all this kind of stuff. That stuff got so popular where little girls are referring to each other as female dogs and all that. Right. So you have to change what you're listening. I think was it? Sanctuary said change the narrative. Yes. We have to change, but I think it's more of, it's not changing the narrative, because the narrative has been changed. I think it's controlling your narrative. Right.
Right.
Because we distort our own narrative by what we promote.
Right. That is true.
Because even positive people who are handling their business call each other out of their name. Right. That's true. I was going to share a quick story. I'm a product of a single parent household, and I got in trouble in the 7th grade. I was in public school. I had got out of my first year out of private school. I was in the 7th grade public school. I got in trouble, and they called my mother up to the school because they were going to, back in the day, they had a wooden paddle. They would give you a swat.
Yeah. I remember those.
I went to Catholic school, and I had never heard of somebody putting a piece of wood on me.
Right.
Well, that's psychological warfare.
Right. It really was. I said, you got to call my mother. I said, because you can't put your hand, you can't touch me. So I was in 7th grade, and I remember having them call my mother up to the school because they wanted to swat me. Right. And when my mother showed up to the school, bro, when she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her because she had picked her hair out into an afro. She put on a fatigue jacket, had jeans on.
Oh, she was ready for war.
Yeah, I'm that Shirley McCrory. I was going to Martin Luther King Jr. and she came up there dressed in this militant type outfit.
Right.
And I was looking at her, and she was like, I'm here to talk to the dean about my son, and she wanted to know what I had done.
Right.
And when she showed up, they said, this is the disciplinary action that, and I had popped a girl's bra strap. Like,
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that was trouble. But my mother came to the school and had to give them permission. She said, "You understand what you did?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay." And she gave them permission to swat me.
Wow.
Right now, a mother's having a conversation with her son, and the son says, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to have a woman just like you. I want to have a woman that can take charge. I want to have a woman that can lead. I want to have a woman who's proud. I want to have a woman who handles her business. I want to have a woman like you." Right. And the mother looks at the son and says, "No, honey, I don't want you to have a woman like me. I want you to have a woman who's capable of doing what I've done.
Right.
But I did it because I didn't have a choice.
Wow.
Because there was no man."
Right.
And what that story says, they'll do it when there's no other option.
Right.
But the problem is how often they have to do it.
Right. That's
or
the
have
problem.
had to do it.
Wow.
And that's the thing that we have to look at,
Right. True.
Yeah. Facts.
So if you're going to control the narrative, that's what you have to control. We have too many women who are still picking their hair out and putting fatigues on.
Right.
Yeah.
The numbers still don't work in our favor, although we've come a long way.
Right.
But the numbers are still not in our favor, and that's the part that we have to get under control.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Starts with building a solid foundation. No good foundation. It will be a struggle to build on.
Yes.
Exactly.
True.
It's just like putting the foundation in mud or quicksand or something. If you build on that nonsense, it's never gonna stay up. It's just like, as far as men, I think we talk about where does it start. Of course, it starts with us.
School streets.
And we have to forgive ourselves, but we have to learn how to become better men, or we got to do that because we can't do anything outside of us until we get us together. If I'm walking around here, because if I don't, then everything I do it in resentment. If I haven't forgiven myself, I'm trying to help somebody else. I'm doing that out of resentment. So I got to forgive myself first, and then it's just like the saying. It's not cliche. People always say, I can't love you until I love myself." That's not cliche. It's the truth. It's absolute truth. If you ever hear it, believe it, because you can't. You can't earnestly love someone else until you love yourself. You can't earnestly forgive somebody if you haven't forgiven yourself. And we all have flaws. We all sin and fall short every single day. We all have these things going on in our life. But in order to us to move forward in someone else, we have to say, okay, it's that proverbial look in the mirror and say, yeah, this is not right. I got to do something else. So we have to start with us and forgive ourselves. It's okay, fellas, ladies, it's okay. Now, what we can't do is stay where we are. We first realize that we're in this place. It is real. It takes work. It absolutely does, Robin. It does. But it has to be done. Because if we do not, then we're doing everything in vain.
Yeah. Yeah, forgiveness is real. Yeah, you hitting on some real good points, Terry. Most people don't understand, and most people are seeking forgiveness from other sources, wondering why they can't be set free, because there's a difference between being delivered and being set free. Being set free is first what Sean Rollins said, understanding the real foundation of forgiveness. You got to forgive yourself. Then it becomes external. And most people are going external before they even fix it internally. Right. And so other people's forgiveness is never enough when you haven't forgiven yourself. And so that vicious cycle continues to repeat itself. Absolutely. I was going to go back to something the Sanctuary said. She said,
I saw that too. That was fine. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That thing flows different when daddy shows up.
Absolutely.
Oh, you better believe that. Yeah. I'm coming through.
I remember going to the school, and I'm talking about recent in the last year. I went to the school because my children changed schools last year, and I had to go handle some business at the school. And I got to the counter, and the woman was like, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm here to discuss my two daughters here." And they were like, "Can I see your ID?" I give my ID. Oh, so you live in the same residence? With your daughters?
What? Look, he is not lying. Look, I almost missed the birth of my daughter at Cape Fear Regional Hospital in Fayetteville, North Carolina, when I worked at Fort Bragg, because I'm sitting in the waiting room because I had a scheduled C-section, and I'm looking at my watch and I'm beating on the door. I was like, "Hey, my daughter's being born and I ain't in there." Wow. The woman said, Are you in the same residence with the mother? Does she know you're here? I was like, my name is on the insurance. You're right. You are so right, sir.
Bro, and that stuff will make you catch a case, man. Right. Quick when they start asking those questions. Right. And my daughters have come home saying that they were quizzed like that in the school. Like, has your dad live at home with you? They ask children questions like that, man. Wow. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, I could imagine.
What's amazing is I make sure that my driver's license is up to date. That's for that reason. Right. So that everybody's address is the same.
And Jeff Aroni, it's a simple answer, and I'm gonna give you the simple answer because I think you've been around us enough to know our hearts. They do that because it's a stereotype that Black men aren't in their children's lives. Yeah. So when you show up in certain places, if it was a football game, that's expected. Right. Because it's sports, so it's different. But when you start talking education, when you start talking dance recitals, when you start talking the things of on those levels, it's a surprise because they don't expect it, because the narrative that most people see black men, or the light that most people see black men, is the one that's painted by police and media whenever something happens. I remember even in the media, a father got charged with assault and attempted murder because his daughter was sodomized, and he beat the man who sodomized his 12-year-old daughter.
Wow.
Now, on the news, when they reported this story, instead of them showing the angry father protecting his child and being vengeful, regardless whether you want to get on the revenge train or not, they painted the picture of him. They went and got his entire criminal history, even though that had nothing to do with him protecting his child. And then there was a white father who killed his wife, and this was like within 2 days of each other. Same. I think it was MSNBC,
Right.
but the white father killed his wife, killed his daughter, and then took his own life. And the narrative that they showed for him was this guy was a great father, and he showed some disturbances in his past. Friends and family talked about how he had some issues and how he had some mental blocks that wasn't addressed. And that's the narrative that's being controlled. Like, I still struggle with the one that called black men lazy. You can't be a slave in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, in this heat for 14 hours a day and be lazy. But that's not the narrative that's out there. So that's why those type reactions happen, Jeff Roney, because the narrative has been created and has been perpetuated.
Yep.
I went to a cheerleading meeting for one of my daughters, and I was in a room in the media room with a bunch of mothers and the cheerleading daughters with the coach, and there was I think there were like 3 fathers in there, probably 25 mothers and 3 fathers. Romello, let's connect on Facebook, bro. Just look me up on Facebook and we'll connect. And the coach was talking, the assistant coach, and they kept saying, "Okay, mothers, we're going to need to do this, need to do that." And I'm sitting there for like 15 minutes, and I raised my hand and I said, "Yes, sir." And I said, "Can you do me a favor?" "Sure. What's that?" "Can you recognize that there's not just mothers in this room?" "Oh, right. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Yeah, but you knew that by looking around the room. So you can see me, hair on my face, bald head, my wife sitting here, and you still referred to all the women." Right. I said, "You want to know why more fathers don't show up? Because when they do, you don't even acknowledge them."
Exactly.
Right?
You disgust me.
Sean Rollins at the parent teacher conference. I've sat in the parent teacher conference and I've had to tell a counselor, talk to me.
Right.
Because he'll sit there and look at my wife
the whole time. Right.
I'm not even sitting there.
Right.
And I told my wife, don't say a word.
Right.
And she said they're silent. And I said, she's silent because you should be talking to me.
Right.
And so when we talk about controlling the narrative, it's those types of things. And I would go as far as to say that as men, you cannot allow that to happen. You cannot allow them to act like you don't exist.
Right.
That's the reality.
Right.
And people absolutely, they respond differently just to the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
Right. Just to the tone of your voice.
My daughter said, "Daddy, how come the dog listens to you and not to us?" I said, "Because game recognizes game."
Look at him.
Oh man.
No.
Oh man. It's crazy. It's crazy because it's funny about the dog. 'Cause we had a stray Chihuahua around, and yeah, he wouldn't give me as hard as much time to give everybody else. I was like, because he act up with me, he ain't gonna eat. He gonna starve.
We got a cat, and my wife is petrified of dogs, so we got a cat, and he's a Persian, and his name's Blanco. So Blanco runs away 3 days ago, and this joker, I open the door, he runs out, and then he's like, that's a bad idea. So he runs back to the door. He already knows what's about to go down. So when I go to open the door to let him back in, he takes off for about 45 minutes. And he was scared to cut. He was behind the fence chilling. I had to on purpose send my daughter because he might have ran away if I went back outside because he was scared. He knew what it was. My Bella, she'll be 2 in a couple weeks, and she can pick him up by his neck. And he's just like, okay, like, oh, let me go. Don't do me like that. If I walk in the room, he's like, there's a difference.
There is.
Right.
There's a difference.
Right. Oh, let's do all this. Oh, okay. Terry's in
I do got a question for you guys, though. The guy who's been absent, right? Who hasn't been the covering for his children, or that's married and hasn't been the covering for his family. How would you give him tips to be a better man in that regard?
Ooh, wow.
So you're saying he's not been a covering for his family?
He hasn't been. He's been there,
right?
But
he's not there.
I'm just paying the bills.
Right.
You got food on the table. You got clothes on.
We talked about this yesterday. Me and my wife. It was like the power of men really being present, and that how their presence really mean a lot to everybody. You know, them functioning in. And so for me, how would I advise that? You know, you have to begin to pay attention to what's happening in your household, you know, because a lot of times your absence creates sometimes a chaotic atmosphere, right? Oh, the covenant.
You have to. I wouldn't start with advice. I would start with questions.
Right.
Because if a husband is silent in the house, you have to examine the husband and the wife relationship.
Right.
True. Right. Yeah. I'll never forget this. 20 years ago, I was talking to an elder in the church, and I said, because me and my wife had gotten into it, and I said, "Elder, let me ask you a question." I said, "My wife came to me and she asked me," and he said, "Ooh," he said, "I hope you can answer that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Man, you can't." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "No." He said, "No. If you want to keep the peace, leave that alone."
Right.
And I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it because my thing was, I need to tell her.
Right.
Right. And he's like, "Yeah, that's why you got in trouble."
Right.
Who told her that? Man. And I'm saying to myself, that's weak.
Right.
It was a weak. He was like, "Nah, man, you want to just keep the peace." And I'm like, I'll never have peace if my wife is the voice of my house. Right. I'll never have peace. You know, so what the point that I'm trying to make is we have to be honest, we have to be upfront, we have to be loving, we have to be a cover, we have to be the protector of our families.
Right.
But we cannot be silent in our homes. I don't know how you can have peace if mama is the now I've learned that women really set the temperament of the household.
Yeah.
Right?
They do.
When I'm angry, the house just goes on like nobody's business. When mama's angry, things stop. Right?
You better believe
That's
that.
real.
That's true.
That's real.
Right.
You know, mama can disrupt, you know, the temperament of the household. But
I
that
can feel
does
sorry
not
for the
render
kids
you-
when that happened.
Huh?
I said, and I feel sorry for everybody in the house when that happened.
Right. Me too.
But I'm just like,
right. You don't want the last person in the house you want mad is mama. You know, and that's just the truth.
Right.
But that does not render you silent. There's a difference.
Right.
You know,
Say that.
and I don't know any man that could really be at peace if his wife is the voice of the house. I don't know how that works.
I'm gonna keep it real. Like him into the sound effects. I had so we went through a period of that, and I kind of just went into a shell, so I wasn't really in peace, but I was in silence. I wasn't effective in the household. I wasn't contributing, of course, other than the basic providing, going to work, but I wasn't adding to where the house was going, So when things start shifting, I'm like, what's going on? Well, you haven't been driving, so I've been driving.
Right.
You're looking around like,
now. Yeah.
where are we at?
Yeah.
I've been driving the whole time. So it's gaining back that I won't say control, but that headship. And taking your position back into that spot, because you're just there. You're just kind of going through the days, like what are we doing today? What's going on?
I'm not even in the car. My wife in the driver's seat.
I can't ever remember a time.
Are you guys buffering? I don't think it's buffering.
Right.
I can't.
No, I'm good.
Shatera was asking if we were buffering.
It's got to be a 15-hour drive, and I drove 12 hours.
Ruben.
What's up, Ruben?
Shout out to Prophet Ruben.
Yes. Yeah, it took me a minute. I had to get out of that space because I realized, you couldn't really live in that space. You can't live in that space. What's up?
I'd like to throw a suggestion out there.
Listening.
I'd like to throw a suggestion out there. One, if you're married, this advice is going to hit slightly different than if you're not married. So I'm going to preface it by saying this.
You in a bad mood, Ruben? I can't see it.
I can see it. No, I can see it.
I think I can see Ruben going from like 0 to 10.
Yeah, I don't want to start this off by quoting Bey or the Queen Bee or Beyonce. But if you're not married, put a ring on it, because it changes things. When you put a ring on it, it changes things. I know people who've been married, who've been together for 15 years, got married, and 3 months later they can't stand each other. There's a difference. There's something that takes place. I don't know what that something is, but maybe it's covenant. But that you can't do the same things married when you're single in the same relationship. I promise you can't. But
actual
with that being said, brothers, we need to focus on one part of the scripture and one part of the scripture only. Sometimes we like to get stuck on that part that says, wives, submit yourselves to me. You're supposed to submit to me. That's what the Bible says. Woman, stop talking, go in there and cook. No. Our focus is husbands. Love your wife the way that Christ loved the church, even to the point of laying down his life for her.
Right.
Yeah.
When a woman knows that,
right,
when she feels that, when she stops questioning that, you don't got to speak on the submission portion.
Right.
Because a woman that's about her business, who's mature, she's being like, I'm gonna tell you what my wife said. And I'm pretty sure some of y'all wives probably said something similar. My wife told me, she said, one of the sexiest things you can do is when you embody made you. She was like, that turns me on.
When you broke up there.
You broke up right there.
My wife, she says, when you embody who God made you,
right.
She was like, that's one of the sexiest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my little old man stomach that's starting to stick out just a hair and all. My wife, when I do certain things,
going somewhere else for a minute. I know.
No. When I start doing, I'm like, she was like, baby, she was like, you look good doing that. And I'm like, stop playing with me. She was like, she give me that smile that I know she ain't playing. And I was like, okay, God. One for the home team.
You know what I learned? And that, and to piggyback off Dwayne real quick, and I know we're gonna get ready to get out here in a minute, but it is that connection with God that women, because there's a few things that women want in this life, right? Women want to be protected, and they want to be cherished. There's two things. If we can, and if we can do those things, it's almost instantaneous, right? So men, we have to learn how to connect, because ain't no woman gonna follow you when you run around like a chicken with your head cut off. So at some point, you got to connect. You got to get a plan, because how can you got to get a plan from God? How can you lead a family?
Right.
And you all over the place. You can't even pay your bills. You can't do this. You can't do that. You ain't got no plan. Ain't not now.
Ain't not there.
Trick Daddy say it best. I don't know now. That's gonna follow you if you ain't got no plan. Not what. The way these women are empowered now.
Right.
And the way they see their own thing going with them. You ain't got no plan, brother. No. And you can't bring anything to the table. Listen, man, that table's important. The people always talk about the table. If you don't bring anything to the table, you know, you gotta have a JOB. You know what I mean? All that. I'm loving the sound effect. I'm digging it. You got me going. But that thing is real. And if you can't eat steak at your table, you ain't eating. So you gotta have a plan.
Right.
Connect. Get your connection.
And there. Right, there you go.
Go ahead.
Diary. Need to get Ruben.
But you know, I had a point. I forgot what I was gonna say. I hate
you made it, bro. You did make it. You made it.
He got a whole soundboard over there.
Love it. I love it. But yeah, you got to walk in that confidence. That confidence is key. That's what they see. Yeah. That confidence of where you going and what you have. I want to get with that. I want to follow that. That's why I started messing with you, because you had that confidence. Yeah. And that's what they want you to continue. I had another trial. I had to figure that one out too. Yeah. Got to just walk. Got to walk upright. You know, that's what they love.
Exactly, Mike.
That's right, man. That's right, bro.
Good by myself. Right.
Right. I'm just telling AD to put up a cash out. Listen.
Don't worry.
It is so great. There's nothing.
No, that's the wrong sound. We don't want the stuff that.
we don't want to jingle. You need the stuff that folds.
Randy Watson. All right. So
that boy, we got to roll out of here. We're gonna go. You guys make sure you check out Brothers.
Announcement. Go ahead. I don't have it no more. I lost my connection.
Yeah, make sure Brothers Who Talk. We're coming on at 11. We got the gentleman here, J. Hamilton McCoy Esquire. We're going to talk about everything law. We're going to talk about reparations and how that can happen. We're going to talk about evictions, and how to avoid them in this pandemic. And we're going to talk about different kinds of laws and all that great stuff. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, man.
And 11 o'clock.
Too, brother. I meant to tell you that.
You said who? Top five? Oh Lord. And the top five. You don't want to miss that. All right. So we're getting out of here. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. We appreciate you hanging with us. What's tomorrow? Friday. Who's rolling? Who's holding it down Friday?
I don't know. I'm gonna be.
Pastor Brian.
It's your turn.
Yes.
Yeah. So me tomorrow.
Pastor B's Friday.
All right.
See how that goes down.
It's gonna be a roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
You guys too. Don't forget viewer's choice. If you have not yet reached out to one of the brothers on the panel and given your idea for viewer's choice, please do so, because that is coming up real soon. I think next Freestyle Friday, which I'm gonna do next Friday, and so the viewer's choice will be next Friday. But make sure you submit your ideas for what you want to hear us talk about. It can be a plethora of things. We only got to talk about one subject the whole time.
You can go to brothersoflegacy@gmail.com.
Yeah, email us.
Yeah.
There you go. Submit that away.
Yeah, Brothers of Legacy.
What is Romelo's name?
Romelo. I don't. Oh, his real name? I don't know.
He's on Periscope. So yeah,
follow
you
on
can.
Twitter.
Yeah. If you email us as well, Romello, Brothers of Legacy, and I'll put you in contact with Pastor. We'll hook you up.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. Yeah. Now, Miss Me With That was last Friday. We're gonna break.
You missed it, brother. You gotta watch the replay. Gotta reach the replay. Also, it was a good one.
We're gonna actually incorporate Miss Me with Pastor at the end somewhere. And just put it. Isn't that Romello? I don't know. Real quick, if this was your first time in this broadcast, I've seen, because I know I saw a lot of folks step in, a lot of folks pop out and in and out that I've never seen in here. So if you were a first timer, we appreciate you.
Yes.
Share the broadcast out, and all that. Because I know there's a lot of them people that I saw come in. But
yes. So, and make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube page because you're gonna get some extras and all that great stuff. Some after party stuff that's happening that won't be on our regular broadcast.
Yep.
Definitely don't want to miss that. All right. So we appreciate you. And as always, we love you, but God loves you more. So peace, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And if I can get my flow with the outro, then that'd be great. All right. Peace out.